Good morning to you, our lovely Camnet viewer. This is a breakfast show, a show that comes to your seat every morning from 07 hours to 09 hours, where we discuss a lot of what is happening around the country in the area of politics, in business, in sports, in health, and in other happenings around. Remember, this is a show that you, a viewer, is allowed to call and make your contributions with regards to the different topic of discussions that we bring to you every morning. This is a breakfast show, and welcome to the breakfast show on Camnet TV. I am your host, Prudence Chota. And of course, I am not alone. I am joined by my colleague who is going to, of course, say good morning and just introduce herself. My colleague, good morning, and say good morning to the viewer.
Good morning, Camnet TV. I'm Cherish Suwade. I'll be your guest today.
You're not the guest, actually. You're the host.
I'm new here on set, so I can feel like a guest.
I get to understand you. I get to understand you. So, something interesting happened yesterday for the farmers across the country. Are you watching Camnet TV? Let's hear you shout out to what is happening around the Food Reserve Agency. Yesterday announced the purchasing price for grain, and this is going to be our main topic of discussion this morning. To all the farmers watching us across the country, we are going to allow you to make your call to submit what is your take on the newly announced grain price by the Food Reserve Agency. So later on in the program, we are going to open the phone lines where we're going to just allow you to call and make your contributions with regards to that. Are you happy as a farmer, having waited all this long for the Food Reserve Agency to purchase your grain? And of course, they have announced the price, which we are later going to discuss in the program. But before I offload and empty myself, together with my colleague, we are going to go into the morning boost. Remember, it is important for you to exercise so that you keep fit, healthy, and of course, you can do your daily activities when you know you are in good shape. So even right about now, we are going to go in the morning boost.
Good morning, viewers, and welcome to our morning boost. I am Isaac Machisa, and I'm back. And let's do something quick now. I need that. Let's go. One each. Just 5 minutes every morning. You're good to go. Let's go. One knee each. Two knees now. 1, 2. 1, 2. 2 knees each. Two each. 2. And back here, match. Let's march. Let's go. Let's go. Go. Let's go. And we're going to do a little bit of abs today. A bit of abs. Let's go. Steady, stretch. All right, let's do a bit of abs now, okay? Let's see how many we can do. So I'm gonna lie down here. Join me, come with me. Ready? No more crunch. Imagine you have a coin here, so you need to lift your head. 10, take a break, 10 seconds, 20, no, not 20, 10 or 5 or 15 maximum. Let's go another 10. Let's go. 21. Okay, so let's do abs now. 1, 2, 3, 4. 10. 20. 30. So remember, I need to be taking some breaks in between, but I need a straight 30. After 10 abs, take a 10 seconds break or 15. Let me give you my last 10. Let's go. 10, 9, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay. So try that, and it's gonna work good for you. Let's go. So that was for the abs. You do that, then I'm gonna introduce another workout, then we'll be signing out soon. Okay, so relax your muscles, and there we go again now. Let's work on the bats now. So I'll do 10 each. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Next workout, straight. Then you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Last 10. Go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And good morning. Have a great day. This has been Isaac Matsa, and I'm gonna see you next week at the same time. Remember always to have a morning boost before you go out for the day. Thanks.
I hope you have exercised this morning. Continue following a morning boost for your daily activities, or rather for your daily exercising. We want to see you in good shape so that you can get to do your daily activities without any disturbances. I don't know about my colleague who I am with in studio today, if at all she even exercises. Cherise?
I don't exercise, but I know the importance of exercise. Maybe.
But why not?
I naturally have a small body. So.
This is what we were talking about yesterday. The perception that exercising is for the purpose of reducing weight. Who said exercising is for the purpose of reducing weight? I think this is where we get it wrong. Not only you, but I think even other viewers who are watching the breakfast show this morning. We think most of the time when you are exercising, it is due to maybe you are overweight and you need to reduce some weight. No, exercising doesn't necessarily mean losing weight. Exercising actually is about you keeping fit.
But okay, I don't exercise, but I'm very active. So I think, but I will start.
No. I think my colleague here needs a lot of coaching and inspirations with regards to why you should exercise. Together with some of the viewers who are just watching the breakfast show, exercising actually is not necessarily about you losing weight, or maybe exercising if you just have a health condition, then you need to. No, exercising actually should be your daily activities because your body needs it. It's actually something that your body needs. You need once in a while, or almost every day, or every morning, or evening before going to bed, to do an exercise to keep blood running in your system.
I think if a lot of people, okay, even myself, if we get to understand that part of exercise, I think most people will be encouraged to exercise. But for now, we see people maybe who have health conditions, who are diabetic,
yes, most of the time that's why you think it's just for that. No, actually, when you exercise, you allow blood in your system to flow at a faster rate. As a result, if you are having issues, even in your maybe blockages in your blood system and stuff like that, it cleanses. It's important once in a while for your blood to run fast in your body. That way, even people who have diabetes, they tell them do that so that you can keep blood running fast in your system. It purifies a lot of things when you do that. You'll notice that most of the time when you exercise, you'll be sweating, you are releasing some toxins away from your body. That's why we say exercise.
No, it's good. The misconceptions I had have been cleared today, so I will start joining the morning boost.
Yes, please. Please do that. Even for the viewer, if at all maybe you are traveling for work and stuff like that, you can't exercise. This program actually is being streamed live on our Facebook page. So when you go home in the evening, you can just go back to the morning breakfast show and go to the segment where there was the morning boost and just exercise, even before going to bed. You know, the good part with this morning boost that we bring to you, our viewer, is because Camnet TV cares for you. We give you simple exercise that you'll be able to follow in the comfort of your home or even in your bedroom, even in your sitting room. You can tell your children, my kids, it's time to exercise. Remove the table from here so that we can exercise. And you can exercise even in your home. You don't necessarily need to go to the gym. You can do that. We need you to be fit and healthy. So yeah, that's it about that. But talking about being healthy as well, Cherise, we are going to look at what the doctors have to say today. Remember, a lot of health complications that we have, it's because people do not realize that they even have them. We ignore some of the small components such as headache, toothache, sore throats, and we think, oh, I can take, maybe I've got headache, I can just take Panadol and I'll get better. You might not know, maybe you're having a big problem that is causing you to have those migraines. Sometimes even people who have tumor and cancers, it begins with a pain in the head.
There's a big tendency of people being their own doctors, so
yes,
they don't really necessarily want to go to the clinic because it's time wasting or maybe it will be expensive, so they rather treat themselves. But it's good to hear from the doctor so that you know exactly what you're going through and the solution available to that illness or situation you're going through.
Very important. So even right about now, we are going to listen to what Dr. Chelo Mwanza is going to say about is it HIV services? And this is a very, very important topic for those who are watching. Let's get to hear what the doctor has to say, even as we get to comment about that issue. I think HIV now, people are taking it lightly because they know there are ARVs and I can just drink ARVs and I'll be fine. Yes, if you happen to find yourself in such a situation, please do not shun away from taking ARVs.
But I think the tendency of people not being scared to have HIV is worrisome, because a lot of people are engaging in sexual activities, but then there are preventive measures. You shouldn't resort to taking ARVs or being HIV for you to know that I have reached a point where I'm not supposed to be involving in sexual activities wrongfully. So I think let's hear what the doctor has to say.
Good morning and welcome to your health segment on the Breakfast Show. I'm Dr. Chelo Mwanza, a pediatrician and a member of the Medical Women Association of Zambia. Your health segment is proudly and happily brought to you by the Medical Women Association of Zambia. This week, we're looking at the importance of under 5 clinic visits and its components and activities that actually do take place when we take our children for under 5. So far, we have looked at how we can monitor a child's growth, that's their weight, their height, and the brain development. We've also looked at appropriate play and brain stimulation. We've looked at vaccinations, and we've also looked at nutrition. We've looked at different food varieties that can help your child grow. Today, we're going to look at the HIV services that we do offer at the under 5 clinic. So, as you bring your child for under 5 clinic, we are going to screen both the mother, you as a mother or as a guardian, as you bring your child, and also the child for HIV. As a country, we are working towards elimination of mother-to-child transmission, and that's why from conception, most of our mothers have noted that the screening starts right from the time you book for your antenatal visits. In an event that you test negative at the very beginning, we are going to test you as a mother, as an expecting mother, every 3 months for the HIV. And you are also encouraged to come with your husband so that even them too can be tested so that we can prevent this child from acquiring the HIV. In an event that a mom is already on treatment for HIV or they do test positive for their HIV during their antenatal, start their mom on treatment there and then. So this is to prevent the baby from acquiring the HIV. So these HIV services do continue even after you deliver your child. So as you take the child for the under 5 clinics, we are going to continue screening you as a mother and even as a child for HIV. And so the most important thing or the important aspects of these under 5 visits is that we're going to enable us to test your child accordingly, because at different ages we do run different tests to detect the HIV virus in the child. So if a mom is not HIV positive, we will, as long as this mom continues to breastfeed, we're going to test the mother every 3 months so that the child does not get the HIV through the breast milk. In an event that the mom is already on treatment, we're going to put the child on what we call prophylaxis medication. So this is to help prevent the child from acquiring the HIV. And we're also going to continue encouraging this particular parent to continue taking their drugs as they are supposed to. And we also continue to test this child using different test methods according to their age group. Whilst you're at the under 5 clinics, we know that HIV cannot only be gotten as a child is born, but also through breast milk, even as you breastfeed your child. So we're going to discuss with you the best feeding practices for your child. You may opt to not breastfeed your child and just go on the formula way. That's still fine. We'll support you as long as you can afford the formula milk. If you want to breastfeed your child, we're still going to support you and give you the required guidelines for us to be able to protect your child. So as you take a look at this under 5 clinic, at every stage you will notice that at birth we may need to test your child using what we call a PCR test. At about 6 weeks again, we're still going to test your child. At 6 months, we're going to test your child. So depending on the result. So if your child tests positive at 6 weeks, we're going to move from the prophylaxis medication to the actual treatment that they need. In an event that your child tests negative to HIV at birth, means we need to test them at 6 weeks. So if at 6 weeks the test is still negative, so I'm talking about a situation where this mother is on treatment because they're HIV positive. Okay, so at 6 weeks we're going to test, at 6 months we're going to test, at 1 year we're going to test. So now at this point the test will change from the PCR to the rapid test, which we normally use in the general population. And so if your child continues to test negative even at 12 weeks and you continue to breastfeed, so we're going to test the child again at 18 months, which is 1.5 years. At this point, if your child tests negative, it means they are negative, and by this time would have already stopped the prophylaxis medication. So these are some of the services that we give at the under 5 clinic. So if your child has HIV or has acquired the HIV, we're still going to continue seeing the child, giving them the required medication, and also at 6 weeks we're going to introduce Septrin. So Septrin prevents your child from having other diseases that can further worsen their immune system. We're going to continue talking with you, the parent, the best feeding practices, and even the best family planning services. So these are methods that in an event that you are breastfeeding, we're going to look for the best options that will not affect your milk production, but at the same time also help you to have children when you desire, and also to enable this child that you have to grow even before you can have the next child. So having talked about HIV, which is not the only disease that can affect this child that's growing, the other illnesses that we need to look out for, which are outlined in the under 5 clinic. So even as you come for these visits, we are going to teach you what to look out for in a child that has diarrhea, for instance. If your child has had one loose stool, or really when you notice that the stool that the child is passing is lighter than usual, it means your child has diarrhea. So we're going to teach you how to make the ORS and how to give it. If your child is vomiting and they cannot tolerate the ORS, or they're not just drinking it, they're spitting it, it means your child may need to be taken to the hospital because they need to have this fluid replaced that they're passing as diarrhea. If you see your child's lips getting dry, if you see their eyes sunkening, I mean like deepening, it means your child is actually dehydrated. If you see that they're actually losing weight and their skin, when you pinch it, it doesn't go back as easily as it's supposed to, it means your child is dehydrated. And so all that information is shared even as you go for the under 5 visits. If your child has pneumonia, it means your child will be breathing fast, they'll have difficulties breathing, they'll have a fever, which is high body temperature. It means your child might be sick and has pneumonia. So all that information we're going to discuss with you as you come through for the under 5 clinic. So thank you for joining us in this health segment. This week we've been looking at the importance of under 5 visits, their components, which is child growth monitoring. We talked about the weight, the height, the brain development. We went on to talk about the nutrition and how that breast milk is the best milk for every child, and that you need to exclusively breastfeed. So when you say exclusively, we mean you don't even need to add water because it's already contained in the milk that this child is giving for the first 6 months. And that solid foods, porridge is also solid food, so other foods can only be added at about 6 months. We talked about vaccinations, how that these children need to get vaccinated to prevent them from acquiring deadly diseases and also spreading them to the other children in the household. We also talked about how, to take care of your child in an event that they're unwell. Let's say they have diarrhea, so you need to give them the ORS, or danger signs to look for. If your baby is having difficulties breathing, they are breathing so fast, they have a fever, you need to take them to the hospital. Above that, we talked about HIV services, what tests we're going to do, the feeding methods that you need to give in a child who's HIV positive, and also the giving of Septrin. I talked about vitamin A supplementation for both the mother and the child, and also deworming services. Thank you so much. This health segment was proudly and happily brought to you by the Medical Women Association of Zambia. I'm Dr. Chelo Mwanza, a pediatrician. Thank you.
Hello, welcome. That was the Health Corner with the doctor. She was talking about preventive measures for children who are suffering with HIV and how you as a mother can protect their child from getting other different diseases and infections. She talked about the medications you can give. So, Prudence, what really can you say about the mother-to-child transmissions of HIV?
Okay, we've seen Dr. Chelo there labored to speak about that issue. This week we've really had a productive doctor's corner where they've been talking about children and different aspects of children's growing up, starting from the under 5 and stuff like that. This, yesterday I even mentioned to say, this is one aspect, Cherise, which we forget. The under 5 card, we don't really know the importance of that under 5 card and what is written there. And trust me, most mothers don't know that. All we know is, okay, the under 5 card, we go to the clinic and the child is injected, they write in the book, and we go back home, or rather in the under 5 card, and we don't even sometimes take time to check what is it that they've written, what medication has my kids been given, what is going on. And the first 5 years of a child is very, very important. This is where we as parents sometimes become a little negligent. And of course today Dr. Chelo was talking about, if you have an HIV positive child, what is it that you're supposed to do as a parent? Remember, it was not that child's really doing or wanting that they should be born with that condition, but that does not mean they can't live a normal life like normal children. They can, provided a parent follows the right procedures, follows the right medical diagnosis and stuff like that, provided the parent is visiting the health facility and is doing everything that they are being told at the health facility. HIV/AIDS is not a death sentence. No.
I think this is a call to mothers, especially those that give birth to HIV positive children. Really, don't feel discouraged. Make sure you take that child to the clinic. I've seen a lot of mothers become depressed. They stop taking the child to the clinic, and then that deteriorates the child's health. So make sure, if you know at the point of birth that your child is HIV, please make it mandatory that you visit the clinic so they give you help that you need, so that you don't lose that child, because that child initially is a blessing and they did
can be
choose
the
to be
next
born like
president of Zambia. You might never know. Being HIV positive does not limit you from being great. There's always a good example. We see the Kembe member of parliament, Princess Kusuni. She's HIV positive, but positively contributing to the development of the country. Personally, if she's watching me, you are my inspiration and an inspiration to a lot of people out there. Where there is a will, there is a way. So if you are HIV positive, if your child has HIV, there is a way in which they can live a normal health life. But what is important is you visiting those health facilities in order for you to be given the right medication to keep you healthy. This is Camnet TV. We bring you nothing but the best. We had the morning boost where we helped you exercise to keep health. And now we've talked about HIV infection in children. And now we are going to look at our money market for today. For those doing business, this is your segment. On Friday, actually, we look at the business sector of what is happening around. That's why we have a very important topic where we are going to allow you, the viewer, to just call and make those submissions. Bafama, if you are watching, we want to hear from you. Wherever you're watching us from, what is your take with regards to the newly announced purchasing price of grain in the country by the Food Reserve Agency? But before we get to that, let's see how our local currency is faring against other major convertibles. The Zambian kwacha against the United States dollar is buying at 16 kwacha 79 ngwe and selling at 17 kwacha 12 ngwe. The Zambian kwacha against the euro is buying at 18 kwacha 89 ngwe and selling at 19 kwacha 26 ngwe. The Zambian kwacha against the British pound is buying at 20 kwacha 58 ngwe and selling at 20 kwacha 99 ngwe. The Zambian kwacha against the South African rand is buying at 1 kwacha 04 ngwe and selling at 1 kwacha 07 ngwe. That is the money market. Business persons, those who are dealing with buying goods outside the country, we have seen our local currency performing quite stable. Over the past few months, we've seen kwacha at least trending around 16 kwacha, 17 kwacha against the US dollar and against the South African rands, where we import most of our goods in Zambia. We've seen it trading around 1 kwacha 04, 1 kwacha 06, just between that range, which is really not pretty bad, though we would like to see it even maybe come to 1 kwacha. But some positive sentiments there, Cherish. We know that if you have a currency that is not stable, it becomes a problem for your economy and for businesses. And this new administration has insisted that if anything, they want to see a stable currency, strong and stable currency that is going to ensure that business owners do not really feel the impact of having a currency that today appreciates, tomorrow it depreciates, tomorrow we need stability. And that is how the kwacha has been performing. Hopefully, Cherish, when they finish negotiating with the creditors and we begin to repay our debt, we are not going to see our kwacha depreciate.
I don't want the kwacha to depreciate, because if it depreciates, really the economy is going to go sour and businesses are going to cry out loud. So I'm really hopeful that the meeting with the creditors will really help Zambia positively and strengthen our economy as we are trying to restructure our debt crisis in the country.
Very important there. We need, if anything, we've seen people are complaining that the cost of living has gone up. And the best that we can do for now is have a stable currency, have a good inflation rate, have our country's GDP growing at a certain pace. I think last year we saw, is it 2020 or 2021? We saw our GDP lower to as low as negative. That was quite a thing. Our economy was not growing at all.
We were not, okay, people were trying, but we were not making positive changes, strides to change our economy.
Yeah, we saw the kwacha depreciate to record high.
It was 18 kwacha?
2022 to 23. It was almost going there. Our kwacha reached that extent. That was pretty bad. But Zambia actually is not the only economy that is facing challenges. I think the other day I was watching, if not CNN or BBC, I saw where they were saying inflation in the United States has gone up, the highest in almost 30 years.
I read the IMF director who came to Zambia actually applauded Zambia that amidst all these world challenges that the world is going through, the issue with Ukraine, Zambia is economically doing its level best not to be in crisis at the moment. So we're really trying as a nation, and I think with the right incentives, with the president's directives, the economy might sustain us. Yeah,
hopefully. But now, coming to the topic of discussion this morning, to you, our viewer, we are now opening up the phone lines. Let's get to interact. Vafama, Kwamene Muti, Mvelela, Mazabuka, Choma, Monze, Northern Province, Eastern Province, Western, Northwestern. Let's get to interact. What is your take with regards to the newly announced prices for the grain by the Food Reserve Agency? Yesterday, the Food Reserve Agency announced that they will be buying maize at 160 kwacha per 50 kg and soybeans at 550 kwacha per 50 kg, while paddy rice will be going at 200 kwacha per 50 kg. If you look at how the purchasing power for maize this year, there is only an addition of 10 kwacha from last year, because last year it was at 150. Then for soybeans, there is an addition of 50 kwacha, because last year it was selling at, it was buying rather at 5,000 per 50 kg. Then for paddy rice, it has been maintained at 200 kwacha. So let's get to hear what you have to say. That is the FRA 2022 floor price for maize, soybeans, and paddy rice. So to you, our farmer, we are going to go and rather we're going to play this clip to listen to what the Food Reserve Agency said yesterday, even as we open up the phone lines so that we get to interact. What is your take with regards to the price announced by the Food Reserve Agency? So right about now, we are going to listen to what FRA said yesterday. Stay tuned.
The Food Reserve Agency has Thursday, 16th June 2022, announced an increase in the purchase of some crops like maize from 150 kwacha in 2021 to 160 kwacha in the 2022 crop marketing season. Reacting to this development, some stakeholders have echoed different sentiments on the matter, with the opposition political party, leadership movement, media director Tatila saying that the increment is a mockery to farmers who are expecting the president to do more, considering that he too is a farmer and understands the challenges that most farmers face. Mr. Tatila says the 160 kwacha increment on maize is not sustainable, especially that not all farmers are on FISP program.
To express our disappointment following the announcement of Food Reserve Agents on the price of white maize and soybeans. First and foremost, we expected a better price and a fair price from the Food Reserve Agents so that our farmers, our small-scale farmers, feel empowered.
Meanwhile, The Millers Association President, Andrew Chintala, has described the increment as fair, saying that it will boost the local production of maize in the country, adding that if properly utilized, this may contribute to the reduction of mealie meal prices in the country, a commodity which is currently expensive on the market.
I think our quick reaction to that is that the price that FRA has announced is quite a fairly good price for our millers, for our farmers, considering that I think there's been an outcry in terms of the cost of production of maize in the country as a result of the high cost of inputs going into maize production. Obviously, this is a good price, not only to the farmers but also to the consumers. You are aware that the millers have been buying maize for 4,000 kwacha a metric ton, which translates to about 200 kwacha in 50 kilogram bag of maize. Now the price has dropped to 160. Clearly that is an indication that we expect to see a downward trend.
The Food Reserve Agency had Thursday announced an increase in the purchasing price of some crops from 150 kwacha to 160 kwacha per 50 kg bag of white maize. Soya beans will be selling at 550 kwacha from 500 that was in 2021, and paddy rice will be selling at 200 kwacha from 195 previously.
The agency intends to purchase 3 commodities as follows: white maize, at least 170,000 metric tons; B, soybean, 1,500 metric tons; C, paddy rice, 1,000 metric tons. The agency shall operate 600 satellite depots in all districts. We shall operate 600 satellite depots in all our districts. Farmers shall be paid through designated banks upon presentation of appropriate documentation. I think we do have some money. We are hoping that immediately we start buying the Food Reserve Agency will pay farmers.
Messi Chonika reporting for Camnet TV News in Lusaka.
That was the Millers Association of Zambia, of course, who announced the price of the purchasing power for maize. For those who are watching us, let's get to interact. Our farmers, what is your take with regards to the price announced by the Food Reserve Agency that the purchasing price of maize has been increased to 160 kwacha from 150 kwacha last year? And of course, for paddy rice, it has been maintained at 200 kwacha. As that of 2021. And for soybeans, it has been increased by 50 kwacha from 500 kwacha to 550 kwacha by farmer. Are you happy with the price? We've seen Mr. Chintala there from the Millers Association of Zambia saying this is a fair price considering the fact that the price of mealie meal has reduced. He says if we saw maybe the price going high, we are going to see an escalation in the price of mealie meal. And as a country, we know that mealie meal is our staple food and it needs to be at a price that everyone can afford. So for him, he feels it is a good move by the Food Reserve Agency. But we saw leadership movement there argue and say it is a mockery for the Food Reserve Agency to be buying maize at 160 when not all farmers are on the FISIP program. Maybe what is your take with regards to that topic we are discussing this morning? Food Reserve Agency there, what is your take? For you who's watching us in the comfort of your home, for those who are watching us while traveling, even those messages, keep them coming to our Facebook page. We are going to read them through. Today we are giving you an opportunity to call through and make some of these submissions with regards to what is happening around. So today, Friday, the Food Reserve Agency, of course, announced the floor prices for grain in the country. We have them there on screen. Let's get to interact. What is your take with regards to that price announcement by the Food Reserve Agency? Is it fair to you, the farmer? And of course, for everyone out there, let's get to know what you have to say over the issue. I don't know what you feel, Cherise, pardon me. Are you a farmer?
I am not a farmer, but personally I feel it's a mockery, like from 150 to 160, like the increment, especially for maize, which is our staple.
Okay, what did you expect that the Food Reserve Agency would do in this case?
Especially for maize, I would have loved an increment of maybe even a 50 kwacha.
And then what would that going to do on the price of mini meal? Are you not looking also at ensuring that we have a low price of, imagine if a 50 kg bag of maize is buying at 200, what price do you think that would be for a 25 kg bag of mini meal?
Maybe would have also be buying in at 200 kwacha. But I'm looking at it at the leadership movement's point of view. Not every farmer is on FISIP, and certain farmers put in a lot of income to grow the maize. So like buying it, for FRA to buy it at 160 is really mockery, looking at the expenses they put in. For me personally,
okay, let me bring this to you. If you calculate the income of doing a hectare range of maize, if you're not on a FISIP program, sometimes they do that. I think before they come up with these prices, they do calculate. If someone was spending this on growing a 10 kg bag maybe of seed, how much are they likely to get at the end of the day? I think the Food Reserve Agency did some calculation there when coming at this price. But I'm not going to really add my opinion. Let me get to hear from the farmers out there, the ones who are really affected. Let's get to know how much was your cost of production for the maize if you're not on the FISIP program, and how much are you expecting to make with the newly announced price by the Food Reserve Agency? Do you think you will be able to make a profit, or rather you will go on the black market and sell your maize out there from those who are buying on the black market? And then speaking about those buying on the black market, how much are they even offering the farmers for the commodity?
I'm not really sure how much they're offering the commodity, but obviously on the black market it's always higher. So maybe farmers would go to the black market for a higher price.
In the areas where you're watching us from, let's get to know how much are people or millers and other companies buying the maize per kg. How much are they doing it per kg, so that we can also compare to what the Food Reserve Agency just said. And of course, we saw some people advocating to say farmers should hold on their maize and not sell to the agency until they table the issue. I don't know. Do you think it's a way of it's a right way of bargaining for a good price by holding your commodity?
I don't think it's a good method for bargaining. I think those who are willing to sell their maize to FRA at 160 should sell their maize, and those who feel their maize should fetch for a higher price should hold on to their maize and look for millers who are going to buy at the price they want. Because it's fair. If we delay to sell to FRA, we might not have stock. And it will greatly affect us also.
Yeah, but of course we know also the Food Reserve Agency did mention to the fact that the price for we have enough maize stock to last the country to even about as far as next year and stuff like that. We do have quite a good number of stock in the Food Reserve Agency's depots for the maize, and we are hopeful that the agency is going to manage to buy the price, the needed quantity. Hello, good morning. Mkwai, tuwe niko mkwayo kwa mwele tutumi na national yenu. Bakasamba kulisha nyuko. Tuwe ni mkwai nishi ya shupa. Mkwai mkwangwa mtewe ni mabesiri. Mkwai. Nisa kiari kwa kulu ndawamida wa vitu bitu wa not being watched. Mwana mchina mtu mmoja uno wakani. Eno kabili kekaza ni nai bora. Eno kabili kumunga tuwalike tu uno. Tabi ni mkumote chitike. Okay, so eno mbaku kuteko. So tamulamba okupokerera fertilizer okwo kumyeno okay. Okay, I'm sure our government mkwai bare onfa. That what said the national yenu mkwai? Okay. Pardon? Kedrick ba Kedrick mkwai twatotera sana. Mkwai. That is Mr. Kedrick from Kasama. It's good to actually know that Kasama is tuned in and listening to Camnet TV this morning. And of course, to you, the stakeholders, the farmers feel disappointed. That is, Mr. Kedrick says they didn't really expect an increase of 10 kwacha. For them, there is no difference considering that the cost of commodity has gone up on the market. That is the cost of fertilizer. For them, they said at least they expected an addition of even about 30 kwacha as opposed to the 10 kwacha. For others, what is your take with regards to the newly announced price by the Food Reserve Agency for buying of maize this year, which is 160 kwacha from 150, and of course for soya beans at 550 kwacha from 500 kwacha last year, and for paddy rice, it has been maintained at 200 kwacha. And then Mr. Kendrick also is appealing to the government, the stakeholders, to say, can you please release fertilizer on time so that we don't see a situation where when it is rainy season and the roads are bad, that's when they have to travel to access the fertilizer. So they're appealing to government to ensure that they begin to disperse fertilizers on time while the roads are strong before they are weakened by the rains. That is Mr. Kendrick from Kasama, who's just made his submissions. Other farmers, let's get to hear. What is your comment with regards to the purchasing price of grain on the market announced by the Food Reserve Agency? We have another caller. It's good to know Chipata is tuned in this morning. Please go ahead with your contribution. I can hear you. Yes, I can.
The brisket buyers are buying 92 kwacha per kg, which is 100 kwacha. Now the FIA are saying 150. Come to soybeans, the brisket buyers are buying 97 kwacha. If you are going to 7 by 50, how much is it? Sometimes you must be fair. You must be realistic.
Thank you so much for that contribution, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's good to know Eastern Province is watching this morning. A powerful submission there. She says, let's be fair on the government. They've given us quite a price to appreciate. If you come to briefcase buyers here in Eastern Province, they are buying maize at 2 kwacha, which is about 100 kwacha. Hey, farmers! You can't sell your 50 kg bag of maize at 100 kwacha. Rather wait for the Food Reserve Agency. At least 160 is a fair price. Let's get to hear what others have to say. How much are the briefcase buyers buying your grain in your area? Eastern Province there says they are buying at 2 kwacha, which is about 100 kwacha per bag. And for soybeans, they are buying it at 7 kwacha. If my calculation gives me, well, 7 kwacha by 50, how much is that? I think 350 kwacha, and then government is offering you 550. So make a decision with regards to that. But Kasama there, we had Mr. Kendrick who earlier called and says the price is not fair. 160 is not fair. They expected at least an increase of 30 kwacha as opposed to 10 kwacha. And of course, they've appealed to government to ensure that they release fertilizer on time so that it does not affect them when the rain season comes. For others, let's get to interact. What is your take on the newly announced grain price by the Food Reserve Agency? We have another caller. Hello,
good morning.
Sir, good morning. Thank you. You're through to the program.
Thank you. I want to add my contribution to the discussion you're having in the studio.
Yes, please tell us where you're calling us from.
I think it's a gradual process. People were expecting that the government should pay them at 250, but I don't think it is feasible looking at the current economic factors. So we do not expect the government to abruptly increase because that will have a negative effect on the economy. Remember, the government is still negotiating with the IMF, and we also have a high debt burden that we need to also negotiate with other debtors. So it becomes a problem for the government to actually increase abruptly because where is the money going to come from? So at the end of the day, it's a gradual process. They are 5 years, and we expect them to continue increasing. You also have to be mindful that if they increase, it is also going to increase the price of a meal meal. And I don't think you people or everyone else will be happy with a high price of meal meal. So they have to do it systematically to ensure that the staple food is also consolidated. So, but at the end of the day, I think a marginal increase is okay, but gradually they should just continue to increase. And eventually stop towards a better price.
You didn't even tell us where you're calling from.
I'm calling you from Lusaka.
Oh, that's good. It's good to know Lusaka is watching. Mr.
Mr. Chonga from Lusaka.
Mr. Chonga, all right, sir. Are you done or you still want to add more?
Yes, but I wanted to also look at, I was looking at the screen, you are soya, and you're seeing other commodities are having a good price, which I think for me, we need to also look at diversification. If we diversify, it is going to help us as a country to ensure that customers earn more through their farming activities. So that's my contribution.
Mr. Chonga, thank you so much for that contribution. Mr. Chonga there from Lusaka has made a powerful submission. He says the price is fair. Looking at the economic hardship that we have to negotiate our current date, and we don't have to stress our government too far because it will lead to disaster, which will also see the price of mealie meal go up on the market. Then also he's appealed to the relevant authorities, is it?
Yes, that he has appealed for diversification, saying that other commodity prices for soybeans are greater than the price for maize. So it's up to you farmers. You can diversify. If you want your products or produce to be fetching for a higher price, diversify in the next farming season.
That is a good submission. Farmers, let me tell you one secret sometimes that we miss in farming. Okay, before I come to telling you my secret, let's take another caller. Hello, sir. Good morning.
Good morning, madam. How are you?
Fine, thank you, sir. How are you this morning?
Oh, I'm very fine.
Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
I'm calling from Lusaka. This is Sandala Project.
Okay.
Yes, madam. Madam, to be here with you, Bambi, I want to mark, Tawadi mark, and what to say is this stuff or a lot condition. England and Nadima. I was about to drive the, I did the case for someone from the 680 quarter to back. And to the first case for 54 feet, it was 1,760 quarter. So this price which they are giving us is not enough. But I think
your line is a bit bad. Can you hear me? Can you reduce the volume on your TV set if I know it's on? Pardon? Okay. If you have to call to make your contribution, please tune down the volume to your TV set or other platform. If you are watching on Facebook and on other gadgets, I think just reduce the volume. But we appreciate that comment. I got you. But if you have to add more, please call back and we'll be able to pick you. We were unable to pick you towards the end because your line became bad and it was producing a sharp noise. So we had to cut. But it's given us also a very powerful submission. It says, you know, for me who's a farmer, I was buying a 50 kg bag of fertilizer at 650, and for a 50 kg bag of seed, it was going at 1,750. Honestly speaking, how much do you think I'm going to make with selling my price at 160? Yeah, it's got a point, and I hope stakeholders and the Food Reserve Agency are listening to what the farmers have to say with regards to that. It's a good submission. Quite messy a thing.
That's what I said in the beginning.
Okay, let's get to hear what another caller has to say.
Hello.
Sir, good morning.
Good morning.
You are through to the program. Tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Yes. I'm Banda Roy from Chipata.
Chipata is good this morning to know Chipata is watching. Please go ahead with your contribution.
Yes, please. Yes, regarding the stock prices, right out there, it's okay. And then soybean is also fine. But on the part of maize, I think they have been hit hard. Yes, of course. There is other, costs when we are growing maize. It's not just maybe one angle which should be considered. There's an issue of those who are not on physics, and then even those who are on physics, it's not all of them that are able to go to the field and do the the work on their own. They have to look for some people to do the job for them. So there is other costs which surround, the growing of maize, of course, even the growing of soybean, and even the rice itself. Yes, so some considerations have been made on the part of maize, especially that even the fertilizer has gone up. Yes, please.
Mr. Banda, thank you so much for that contribution.
Thank you.
Mr. Banda there from Eastern Province. Wow, Eastern Province this morning, you're doing good. At least we've received 2 phone calls from Eastern Province so far. It's good to know you're tuned into Camnet TV. And of course, Mr. Banda says, when you come to the price of soya beans and paddy rice, he says the price is okay and fair. But for maize, I think government should have reconsidered looking at how much they are buying fertilizer and of course how much they are buying the seed. It's quite expensive for the price that the Food Reserve Agency has announced. To others, let's get to hear what you have to say. Farmer, let's get to hear from you. I think we just previously before Mr. Banda, we had a caller from Lusaka who mentioned to say, I am a farmer. I was buying fertilizer at 650 and I was buying a 50 kg bag of seed at 1,750 kwacha. And he says, how much will I sell my grain with that price? Let's get to hear what another caller has to say. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, madam. How are you?
Fine, thank you. You are through to Camnet TV. Tell us your name and where you're calling us from. Mpongwe. It's good to know Mpongwe is watching this morning.
Yes, for me, the price is too low. I'm a farmer. Taking into account of the prices which you are buying fertilizer. As of late of the rainy season, we even fertilizer to some.
Oh.
So, making the plans, we expect the consideration which we put in the production of that crop. So the closer the pesticide also matters. So as for me, it's too low. There's no profit. If you calculate the input which you are putting in a hectare, then the yield per hectare, then you think of reduction, then the total is negative. So as farmers, we are very displeased with what the government has offered. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that contribution. Mpongwe is watching this morning and he says towards the end of the rain season, we were buying a 50 kg bag of fertilizer at 800 kwacha. And if you add the cost of production, you add seed and insects and pesticides, of which is mentioned an important aspect, Cherish. We saw a situation where most of the farmers' fields were attacked.
And there were floods last year. So most farmers were negatively impacted with the floods last year. So that's what I was saying in the beginning. They should look at all these factors that led to the production of maize this 2021-2022 farming season. And maybe, that's why I said, they should have increased to a 50 kwacha.
Okay, we are going to take a short breather. We will be back. For those who want to make those phone calls, keep them coming. We are taking a short break and we will be back shortly. Stay tuned to Camnet TV, not just another channel.
The Bible says, I knew you
Thank you so much for staying tuned to Camnet TV, not just another channel. We appreciate staying tuned to Camnet TV. And of course, our topic of discussion this morning is, what is your take on the newly announced grain purchasing price by the Food Reserve Agency? I know farmers waited for a long time for the price to be announced, and of course they've done that, Cherish, and we are receiving quite a good response from a lot of farmers around.
Mixed feelings.
We are going to take a call again. Let's get to here. Hello.
Hello.
You're through to the program, sir. Good morning. Tell us your name and where you're calling
Good morning, madam. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. How are you?
Very fine.
Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
This is Mr. Perry from Chipata.
Oh, Chipata, this morning. We are excited that you are watching this program. Please go ahead with your contribution, Mr. Perry.
Yes, please. I think this is the right program. Now I would like to say, to my side, I can show my face with fixed buyers. Because selling to the FRA, I think it's a lot.
Okay.
It is just a drop in the ocean.
Exactly. How much are the briefcase buyers buying in your area?
This is the amazing, as you can see. Here we are just quarter with Malawi.
Okay.
So Malawi there is 200 quarter, 200 plus. Yes, so it's better that we help our neighbors there. They don't need me.
Okay, so Mr. Perry, if maybe the price was at 200, what would you think would have happened at the price of milli meal?
The price of milli meal, I think 180 or 185.
Okay, and you're there with that price of milli meal for a 25 kg bag?
We are not the best farmers. We are not okay.
Okay.
We are trying.
Okay.
We are trying. We really need to come in.
Yeah, I hear. Thank you so much, Mr. Perry, for that contribution. That is Mr. Perry from Chipata. Chipata, this morning, it's good to know you're tuned in to Camnet TV, receiving quite a number of phone calls from Chipata. We appreciate the viewer who's watching us around and those who are calling. Thank you for those submissions. Mr. Perry there says farmers are crying. They didn't actually expect that government would give them that offer because they're not getting value for their grain. They would rather sell to Malawi because they're just next there. They are taking it to the neighbors because they need it more than Zambians do by giving them at 160. Very powerful submissions today. Mr. Perry, you've made my morning. Thank you so much for that submission, and I hope stakeholders are listening to the contributions that the farmers are making this morning. But for everyone who's watching us, let's get to interact. What is your take with regards to the newly announced purchasing price of grain by the Food Reserve Agency? Let's get to hear what another caller has to say. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Fine, thank you, sir. How are you?
Hello?
Hello, I can hear you.
You can hear me?
Yes, just reduce the volume on your TV set.
I have reduced.
Okay, thank you so much. Tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
I'm Mr. Makobo from Livingston.
Livingston, it's good to know Livingston is watching this morning. Mr. Makungu, go ahead with your contribution.
My contribution this morning is this is total loss for a farmer. It is a total loss in this sense because last year the bag was at 150. The value of 150 last year and the value of 160 kwacha this year. If you pick 150 kwacha last year, a farmer went to ShopRite and picked up items worth 150 kwacha. And today, he picks up 160 kwacha to go to ShopRite and pick up items. The farmer picked up more items last year with 150 kwacha. And today, you pick less with 160 kwacha. It's a total loss on the part of the farmer. That's my contribution.
Thank you so much, Mr. Makungu from Livingstone, for that contribution. Mr. Makungu has given us a good economic example of what is happening around and the price for the commodity.
It's very true, because he has made a valid point. Last year, 150 would buy you maybe or 10 parcels in a hole, but today you will get out of ShopRite with 3, even one thing, because the cost of living is high. So I really agree with him that it's a loss that has been put to 160, the price of maize. Me, I'm still strongly standing.
My colleague strongly says it is a loss. For me, I'm a neutral person. I want to hear what you, the farmer, has to say. So I'm giving you a voice to air your grievances, or rather your applause to the government. Let's get to hear what you have to say. Is the price for maize, soybeans, and of course paddy rice announced by the Food Reserve Agency favoring you as a farmer? We did see someone here call a caller who said, I think the price is okay, because if the price was increased further than that, we could have seen a situation where mealie meal price became expensive. Also put in perspective that the government has a huge debt backlog which it has to deal with the creditors. So maybe he spoke to the fact that we need to see farmers diversify to other crops, if at all the maize and soybeans is not giving them quite good income. But for another farmer, he says, you know, I was buying a 50 kg bag of seed at 1,750 and 650 for a 50 kg bag of fertilizer, and then government says I'm going to buy a 50 kg bag of maize at 160. That is a loss on my part, and we've seen quite a number of people who've said that. Let's get to hear what others have to say. Hello, good morning. Hello.
Hello.
Madam, you are through to the program. Tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
I'm Esther calling from Kafiwe.
It's good to know Kafiwe is watching this morning. Please go ahead with your contribution.
Manje akatiita kawanisitte abamene bapolitician abamene bakataki katika na besi stop boda wao manje boda ni bakisikia kamene ndo kampeni na ndo kampeni na boti kasie ni para kama ndio ndio para kama kanida anaonyesha kampeni kikuti katendo kushauri na wote ni kitu kidogo.
Thank you so much. At least I'm impressed I have a female caller. I was worried with our female folks. Don't we have farmers who are female? But of course, she's brought up a very important, valid point. Politicians, UPND, they are challenging you there to say, you were calling the previous administration as a fire farmer. Who's killing the farmer? You promised them 250. Of course, they are here to offer checks and balances. Keep your promise. She says, you promised 250 for a 50 kg bag of maize, but today you're giving us 160. Who's the fire farmer in this case? That is a contribution coming from Kafi, where she says, you know, we told a lot to grow that maize and we expected a price to be fair. We're looking at the promises that we are promised by the now administration, that is the United Party for National Development. President Hakainde Hichilema, of course, when he was campaigning, he told the people to say there's no way someone can buy a bag of grain at 150. That is a loss. You're killing the farmers. When we come into office, it's 250, but today, hey, 160. Let's get to hear what others have to say. Hello, good morning. Hey, I'm Kwai Mashvuken Mkwai. Okay.
Yes.
I can hear you. Yes, please. I can hear you very clearly now.
This is done from
Mkwai.
No, but that's the water problem. So you must be about them, not like me. So the government is not working, the government is think of that. Now, I'm telling you, there's too much. So I don't know, now that is
All right. Thank you so much for that submission. I think a farmer there who's passionately spoken about this issue. I can feel your grievance there. It says, you know, the cost of production for maize this year was really high, looking at the price of input and fertilizer. And then government says they are going to buy a bag of maize at 160. Government is not encouraging us to grow more, and government is not helping us. These are his own words. He says you are not encouraging the farmers to grow more, and you are not encouraging them. You are not helping them. It says farming is a business and farmers have to get value for their business. When the UPND administration was campaigning, they promised us 250 and we voted them in office based on that. But they feel disappointed. Perhaps if we have a UPND member who's watching, let's get to hear also you defend your perspective from that. Let's get another caller.
Hello?
Sir, good morning.
Hello?
Hello, good morning. I can hear you.
Hello?
Hi.
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Please, tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
I'm calling from Peter.
Vampika, it's good to know you're watching this morning.
My name was Peter Mando.
Vampita Mando, please go ahead with your contribution.
Yeah, when we congratulate that, so there is no need to let's continue wait and see. Thank you.
Mr. Peter Mando, thank you so much. Mr. Peter Mando. Mr. Peter Mando there says, let's stop complaining and let's just work hard. I don't know what it means. Let's hear from what the UPND administration has to say. If we have anyone who's watching this program from the UPND, can you please call us and let us also hear your perspective? And of course, maybe from the Food Reserve Agency, let's defend your reasoning of why you came up with that price. A lot of farmers have complained. And of course, we have those who have called also, who have supported it by saying, you know, if the price was increased, it would have seen milli meal price go up. Let's get to hear what others have to say this morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning. Thank you. You're through to Camnet TV. Tell us your name and where you're calling us from. Bakawe, it's good to know you're watching, and at least I'm happy to see a female caller again on the program. Mkwa kuti balanda today umfwa.
Papa, you want to see our number one pocket water. One is the I say, but I never qualified as yet, but the other line at 250. So I will go on the way to show you. But what I'm saying that I must do. I said, I will remember the class for a very one of last one. But they can be a CPA. That's very good. I want to let you know that I very easy. No matter what they are going to back 160. I will wear it when you are very careful. I hope we are both. I want to come away and what they are today. I
Twatotela Mkwai Naifwe. That is a caller from Kawe, and she's expressing the same grievance like others to say we told, and a lot of young people told to bring the UPND administration in office because they promised us paradise. But now we can't see that paradise because from the promise of 250 kwacha buying a 50 kg bag of maize, they've now given us 160 kwacha. She says, maize you give people to weed, to remove, even when removing the maize from the crops, you pay people, you pay for transport, fertilizer, the cost of production is up, but the government is only giving us a 10 kwacha increase from last year. She says it's not fair.
So people feel betrayed. I feel the people that campaigned and voted for the 250 price, I think they feel betrayed. And government should come out to the open and explain the reasons they have made such floor prices.
Hopefully, we can get someone from the Ministry of Agriculture or rather the Food Reserve Agency on the program next week to just come and speak to this fact of why maybe they arrived at this at the price. We also need to hear from them with regards to that. Hopefully, we get someone on this program. And for those who are calling today, we appreciate. Keep those phone calls coming even next week when we bring a stakeholder to come and speak to that. But let's get to hear what others have to say. Good morning. Hello? Oh, we lost that caller. Sorry. Please call us back. We lost your call, unfortunately. Please call us back and we'll be able to pick that phone call. We are hearing a lot of people making submissions there with regards to how they feel about the price that was announced by the Food Reserve Agency yesterday.
I heard the other call, I don't know, from Pika said there was a time when they had to regrow the maize. So those challenges are supposed to be taken in account, that they made losses. Yeah, the 2021 to 2022 rain season came with its own challenge. Anyway, but let's get to hear what others have to say. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, I'm Mr. Shawa calling from Chilanga.
Chilanga, this morning is watching. Mr. Shawa, please go ahead with your contribution.
Yes, I'm a UPND member, but I'm very disappointed with my party.
Mkwai.
Because they promised farmers that they're going to pay them 250.
Mkwai.
But things are not happening according to the promises. Even the cost of living is so high. The input to buy fertilizer at 700, 800. They were calculating when the techniques to the day for school costly, the thing was very high. What people are already careful.
Mkwai, Mr. Shawa.
Let him consider this price again. Otherwise, we are looking at the campaigning ourselves. Thank you, madam.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shawa from Chilanga. He says he is a UPND member but does not support the current price announced by the government. He feels disappointed by the price and says, President Hakainde Hichilema, please look into the matter and perhaps reconsider the decision. Perhaps with a lot of calls from the farmer, you might not know the government is listening and you don't know what will happen tomorrow. Perhaps we'll wake up to a new dawn of a price with regards to the purchasing price of grain on the market.
Critically thinking about this, I think they should revise the floor prices.
Yeah, my colleague there says they should revise.
The contributions we have received, people want the prices to be revised because I think they especially 2021, 2022, they made losses. Let's pick that caller.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Hello,
yes, we are hearing you, sir.
so much. Good morning to you.
Good morning, thank you.
Thank you very much. This is Reverend Manduli from Lusaka.
Reverend Manduli, it's good to know you're watching.
Thank you so much.
Please don't forget the contribution. Not just another channel. No, we appreciate your view. Every time I'm watching, I expect to hear a phone call from Reverend Manduli. We really appreciate you watching Camnet TV.
Thank you very much. Yes, regarding the concerns that the farmers have raised, and I think I heard the announcement of the next price, which by clarification from the chairman of the entire earth, this clarifies that that amount of 160 kwacha is not a fair price. So I think that must be underlined that the price that the FIA has given to the public as the price that they'll be able to buy. Use actually the term to say it's based on a willing seller and a willing buyer. So it is not binding or tying the farmers or any other person that's even to the farming industry to say they are restricted to that particular price. It's like the price that the Food Reserve Agency has given as a buying price as an agency. But that is the other argument that I heard that the European decided to their community government have given a promise to say they increase the buying price of maize for 50 kilograms part of maize to 250. I'm not very sure, but if that was the case, I think it's only moral right that the administration of the EPNC comes to the democratics and the electors and give clarity as to why they not been able to honor that promise. Because I think that the promise to honor any promise is correct about your integrity as a person of modernization. So I think if that is the person, the party of EPNC and now the party of government, I think to be able to give clarity on what they have come at that point. But also I want to be clear that those that are not in industry, I may not be an expert, but based on what has been said that not being the first time, I think that it is legal because now there is an open market in Congo. And I think that the government has opened up, I think the programs are not restricted. Therefore I think that our farmers have liberty to sell to the highest bidder. So I think that they should be able to take advantage and not need to restrict themselves. That is because it has been a position for a very long time that FIA has been the one buying a huge amount of meat from our season farmers. And so maybe they are glued to that arrangement. But I think they should be able to take advantage under the circumstances to explore other markets where they can get a better price. That is my encouragement and input over this particular discussion. The first maybe stand far because I don't see a scenario where even if the government was to increase, they will increase a substantial amount. Maybe 25 10% maybe 165 170. But I don't think that increase substantial. So it is time for people to be, I think, working by taking advantage of the open market in Congo and other parts of the region, so that they can get a better price for their inputs. I think what they are putting in, which is understandable, and I do think that there is difference in that regard. Thank you so much, and have a blessed day.
Thank you so much, Reverend, for those contributions. He says the government should perhaps come out and defend themselves why they've come up with that price, considering how many complaints have been raised by people out there and the farmers. And of course, he's mentioned the fact that government has now opened up the market for you to export to the DRC. Perhaps maybe you can look at the other market. But maybe, Reverend, on that one, government, yes, it is true, it has opened up the Congo market, but before you can export to Congo, you're supposed to get permission from the Ministry of Agriculture and, of course, the Grain Traders Association. You're supposed, I think, to export, is it through them or in association with them?
In association with them, which also comes at a fee.
Yeah, of course, it comes at a fee. It's not free, but you can export to Congo. It's quite a good market. And then also, I don't know if there's a limitation with how many metric tons you can export, but yeah, you have to go through the Ministry of Agriculture to clear you at a certain fee before you can export to Congo. So maybe perhaps the market should be opened like the way it was before. I remember growing up in 2013, 2014, around that time, 2010. My mom used to deal in the sale of maize to the DRC, and the market was open. Maybe perhaps if we leave it as open as it was before. But let's get to hear what another caller has to say.
Hello.
Hello.
Good morning.
Yeah, this is Jacob calling from Solwezi. Good morning.
Good morning. It's good to know Solwezi is watching this morning.
All right, Solwezi is fine. Thank you.
Thank you. Please go ahead with your contribution.
Yes, I also just want to contribute on the price that the FRA has given on that. Yeah, I think the 160 is okay. If she really complains that the 160 is not good, then we expect the government to increase it maybe up to 200 costs. Then how much will you be buying the bag of milk then? And again, the other is not just, say that this is the final. I mean, you be just telling to us, they have given the other alternatives. This is the price for the FRA. If you feel with the FRA, the price is not well with you, you need to send it to other stakeholders. But no one is complaining. As though the FRA have just said that we should be selling to them. We need to look at the proposals.
Okay.
They have opened up so many ways which farmers they need to go and sell other products to other maybe countries. It's not on the FRA. So the 160 is yes, okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think that will be the last call we are taking for the day. It's quite surprising how time moves fast. But that was the last caller for the day, and it's from Solwezi. He says he feels the price is okay. The FRA, that's their price. If you feel that's low, look for other buyers to buy your commodity out there, of course. And we know another caller from Chipata said, if Zambia does not appreciate our price, we are going to look to our neighbor country because it's offering us a good price for the same commodity. Reverend Maduli there suggested that, Reverend Maduli suggested that perhaps we can export to Congo if you feel the price is not okay. So that's what I was saying, that you can also look at that market. But for you to export to Congo, you need to go through the Ministry of Agriculture and the Grain Traders Association to help you facilitate at a particular fee for you to export to Congo. Maybe perhaps this is what I was saying. We need to go back to where we saw the Congo market being open. Because I grew up with a mother who actually used to trade in grain, and she would take the grain to Congo and just sell it. It was an open market. Maybe if we went back to that, it would give farmers a lot of options to sell their grain. But others also, I did hear someone who called earlier say, you know, I am a farmer, and if you look at the cost of production, the cost of production was very high. We can't see government buy maize at 160. He mentioned that a 50 kg bag of seed was going at 175 kwacha, and fertilizer was trading above 650. He says there is no value. But the last caller says, you have other options. I just don't know. I somehow feel most of the time when FRA gives the price, the other buyers also tune it a bit to that price. They'll give you maybe just at a small increase of a fee.
Maybe it will be 170 or 165 probably.
Yes, maybe 165 or 170. So maybe the FRA sometimes determines how much the price will be on the market. Maybe that's why maybe other farmers feel aggrieved to say, you know, this low price you've given, even the other buyers there will equally do the same. But again, we received a phone call from Chipata from someone who suggested to say here in Chipata, the briefcase bars are buying at 2 kwacha per 50 kg bag, which is giving us 100 kwacha. So she felt maybe the price that FRA gave us was the best. But we've also got others who are offering checks and balances by saying the UPND administration promised that they'll be buying a 50 kg bag of maize at 250. What happened to that promise? We voted because we knew that we were going to sell our maize at 250 kwacha. Hopefully next week we get the Ministry of Agriculture and other stakeholders to come on the program to come and defend their idea. We will try by all means to ensure that we bring those people on a set. Maybe from me and my colleague, this is where unfortunately we have to part camp, but it's not the end of the road. We have other exciting editions of the Breakfast Show next week, and of course tomorrow on a Saturday we are also bringing you this program. Remember, this is Camnet TV, where we bring you nothing but the best, because Camnet TV is not just another channel. So from me
and Cherish
and the entire Camnet TV production team, it's bye-bye and God bless you.